Has the cause and source of the leak been identified by any contractor?
Just expert service.
Is that responsive?
No, Your Honor.
So let me read the question again. Has the cause and the source of the leak been identified by any contractor?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It was from the, he believes it's from the,
Objection, hearsay.
this is the guy
He's not testifying in this case.
That's sustained. It's been identified.
Yes.
Any follow-up questions?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. All right. What time is it? Who's our next? Who? Mr. Vazinels?
Your Honor, I do have one more witness, but it's close to 4. I say we break till Wednesday. So I'll leave it up to 4.
Suber?
Well, we'd like to use the maximum time that the court will allow us to use because this was supposed to be a one-day trial.
We want to take witnesses out of order?
Well, whatever Mr. Nellis would like to call.
Is your witness here, Mr. Vazinels?
I'd have to go check the hallway. We can take one of their witnesses if you want to go out of work.
I don't mind.
And how long will one of your witnesses, the next witness, do you have a short witness that would be short?
Well, we have a choice, Mr. Rossworm or Mr. Curlin. Plaintiff's choice, of course.
I don't care. You're a witness. Take whichever one you want.
No, it's your choice. It's your case.
You want me to direct them?
You would be calling them, I guess.
Okay. That's fine.
Unless we want to break. I don't know how long is these people going to take.
I have no idea. This is still a plaintiff's case.
How long would they have been taken if they had been called in your case?
About 20 minutes.
For your examination?
Yes.
And then we'd have cross?
I imagine I will, but I don't know what he's going to ask. Not as long as...
I hope not. Well, all right. I mean...
If you want me to call one of them, that's fine. I don't see us being done with the one witness by 4 o'clock.
I don't either.
Also, Debbie Rossworm's here. You have choices that you can make.
Is she, were you going to call her?
Yes, very briefly.
Why don't we call her, because she seems like she has the least involvement, if I'm correct.
Well, whatever the plaintiff wishes.
You want to call Debbie Rossman?
Sure. Plaintiff calls Debbie Ross.
Please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth to the best of your knowledge? Please be seated. State your full and spelled name, your full name for the record.
Deborah Rossworn.
Spell it, please.
I'm sorry, D-E-B-R-A, and it's R-O-S-S-W-O-R-N.
Okay,
Good
Mr.
afternoon,
Besson.
ma'am. How are you?
Good.
And where do you work?
Rossi Construction.
And what do you do there?
I'm the treasurer and the secretary.
Are you married to Chad?
Yes, I am.
Are And Chad's the president?
Yes, he is.
Anyone else in the family work there?
No.
How long have you worked there?
We're going about 17, 18 years. 18 years now.
Are you familiar with Mr. Clark?
I'm familiar with the contract and the payments received from Mr. Clark.
Okay, what payments were received from Mr. Clark?
Per the contract, he gave down a deposit, and then upon completion, he paid the balance.
All right, so he paid $5,000?
That is correct.
All right. Are you familiar with, were you involved in negotiating a contract?
No, I typed up the contract, but I wasn't involved in any of the negotiations.
All right, did you ever go to his home in Jennings Park?
No.
Did you ever meet Mr. Clark?
No, I have not.
Have you ever spoken to him on the phone?
I have.
Okay, and when did he call you, or when did you call him?
Initially, he called up for an estimate, and I set up the appointments for the estimate.
And that would have been in October of 2006?
Yes. That's what the estimate says.
Any other calls for Mr. Clark?
We didn't receive a call from Mr. Clark until June, and that's when he had some issues and some concerns, and that's when we dispatched Chad and our roofer, Dave Curlin.
Okay. Any other calls after that?
No other calls.
Any contact with Mr. Clark whatsoever?
No, not from him.
Is there anything else you can offer the case?
Objection to the form of the question.
Howard, pass the witness.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Very afternoon.
You were here when Mr. Clark testified under oath that someone came out to his house in March of 2008.
I heard that, yes.
Is that true?
No.
How do you know?
Because I spoke with them in June, and if we have a problem, if somebody calls, we rectify it pretty quickly. So, no, I did not hear from him in March.
If a customer has a complaint, such as Mr. Clark here, he would necessarily call your office. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Where is your office located?
Out of Westville and Cherville.
Okay. Is it difficult to find the phone number for your office?
No, it's all over our contracts. We're in some advertising, Google. We're very accessible.
Okay. And if a customer has a complaint, does that complaint necessarily go to you?
Yeah, I get the call initially.
And then what do you do after you get a call reflecting a complaint of a customer?
Document said complaint, and then I schedule an appointment for follow-up via Chad, and at that time, Dave, our roofer.
Does it always go to Chad?
Yes.
Okay. And does he choose who is to help him field the complaint?
Absolutely. It depends on the project, because we do other things in roofing.
Well, let's talk about this particular project. You're aware that the work was actually contracted for in October 2007. Is that right?
No, actually, we gave him an estimate in October, but it wasn't contracted. And if you look at the bottom of the contract, till January, I believe January 9th of 2008.
Well, I think that's absolutely correct. Taking a look at Exhibit B for identification, it does show that the date of this proposal is October 22nd, 2007. Did you say you typed up this, proposal?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, it's a proposal until it's signed. Was this particular contract signed?
It was signed in January of 2008.
Okay. And taking a look at the bottom of Exhibit B, can you identify the signatures that appear thereon?
That would be Dennis Clark.
And who signed for Rossi?
That'd be Chad Rossborn.
Is that your husband's signature?
Yes, it is.
Are you familiar with your husband's signature?
Of course.
How long have you been married to your husband?
17 years almost.
So, and you've been in business 18 years?
Right.
I see. And do you have an ownership interest in the company?
I do.
So, and your husband has an ownership interest in the company?
That is correct.
Is there anyone else with an ownership interest?
No.
So it's just you and Chad?
That is right.
Your mom and pop operation, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
So
Now,
sweet.
Taking a look at this contract, if there is additional work that Rossi Construction is going to do, what steps does Rossi take to make sure that additional work is verified?
We have a change order form that needs to be filled out and signed by the customer in order for us to proceed with any extra additional work.
Okay. And does the project go in a separate file?
The extra work order?
Well, would all the paperwork go in a same file?
It would be in the same file.
Okay, so if there was any additional work reflected on a change order, would that change order be kept in the same file as the original contract?
Yes, it would.
And for this particular job, was there any additional work on a change order?
No, none at all.
If there was additional work, would you have necessarily known about it?
I would have known about it. I would have got the change order.
How would you have known about it?
Well, they give me a copy of the change order, and I have to apply it to the invoicing.
The bill?
That's right.
All right. If there's additional work, do you necessarily charge for it?
Absolutely.
Like a regular business?
Right.
Okay. Now, did you ever hear of anything regarding this job in terms of additional work?
No.
Could there have been additional work in this job and you didn't hear about it?
No, I would have known about it.
If any of the work reflected by the original contract was changed, would that be on an additional work order or a change order or some other kind of document?
Additional work order. It's a separate form from the original contract.
So if the work was less or more, it would still be reflected on a change order. Is
That's
that correct? And there were any change orders for this proposal?
No.
The job itself, do you remember when the job took place?
In January.
How long was the job?
I believe it only took them actually about 2 days, 2.5 maybe, possibly 3, but it didn't take them very long.
How many workers from Rossi Construction did the work?
I'm trying to reflect. I think about 5, maybe about 5 roofers at the time on there.
And was there a crew chief or a foreman of some kind?
Yeah, that would be Dave Curlin.
Dave Curlin. Who's Dave Curlin?
He's our roofing manager. He oversees and works on all our roofs.
Okay. How long has he been with Rossi?
I want to say almost 14 years now.
14 years. So if this was 5 years ago, he would have been on about year 9 at the time of this job, correct?
Correct.
Now, was he hired as a foreman?
Yes.
All right. And what kind of work did he do for those first 9 years before this?
He did roofing. He still does roofing.
Were there ever any complaints about his work?
No, not for the most part. I mean, if there ever is any complaints, we address them and we try to rectify them the best that we can.
Okay. In this particular case, when you received the complaint from Mr. Clark, do you remember talking to your husband about this particular complaint?
Yes.
Did you talk to Mr. Clark at the time the complaint came into Rossi?
No.
And that conversation with your husband, Chad, do you remember when that conversation took place?
Probably in June when he went back out to see Mr. Clark.
Okay. Did you take part in that negotiation at all?
No.
Now, after the foreman, in this case Mr. Curlin, Dave Curlin, did the work, is it part of the protocol at Rossi Construction to allow the owner to inspect the work?
Well, absolutely.
If there are any complaints at that time, do you hear about them?
Not at that time, at kind of completion. If there's a problem, they'll address it right there and then. And no, I don't hear about it.
All right. Do you know in this case whether Dave Curlin allowed the plaintiff to inspect the work that was done for Rossi Construction in that 2-day period of time?
Yes, that's what I was informed.
Taking a look at Exhibit B, is that a true and correct copy of the entire contract between Mr. Clark and Rossi Construction?
That is correct.
Is there anything missing?
No.
Now, that contract refers to a warranty. I believe Plaintiff's Exhibit 8 was the registration of the warranty, but how long does Rossi warrant its work? Not the product, the work.
5 years.
Now, after the letter was written to Mr. Clark on June 17th, do you know if you received any further complaints from Mr. Clark until you received notice of this lawsuit?
No further complaints from him.
Did you ever receive a response to Chad's letter to Mr. Rossi?
No.
To Mr. Clark?
No.
There was no
response?
Just the lawsuit?
Just the lawsuit.
Pass the witness.
You redirect Mr. Vezanellis?
Briefly, Judge. Ma'am, looking at, you prepared these proposals?
I typed them up, yes.
Okay. Whenever there's a change, you said you normally have to do a change order?
That is correct.
All right. Well, on here, it says number 2, written in, remove and replace seamless gutter and downspouts and have garage same green color. So was there a change order for that?
Well, I guess at the time of negotiation with Mr. Clark, Chad added that in with the total.
Okay, so was there a change order for that?
No.
All right, so you don't always do change orders.
Well, it's right here if it's written on there. I mean, but if there's anything above and beyond what's on this proposal, yes, there's a change order that is written.
So the answer is no.
Can you rephrase the question?
You don't have a change order for that?
Not for that. It's right there on the contract. I didn't need one.
Nothing for that?
If there is some change in the work which does not alter the price of the job, is there a change?
If it doesn't alter the price?
If it doesn't alter the price?
No.
So after the proposal is signed, there would have to be a change in the price or the quantity of the work
True.
in order to necessitate a change order. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Just changing the color of the shingle wouldn't alter the price, would it?
No.
No further questions.
The price has changed, though, on here, right? The price has changed from $4,375 to $5,000.
Because he added it at the time of the signing,
Okay.
so the price is on there.
No further questions.
You didn't need a change order because it was already in the contract, is that right?
That's correct.
And the work
There-
had not begun at the time that the contract was signed, isn't that right?
That's correct.
Pass the witness.
At all?
Nothing further.
Nothing
All
further.
right. Any questions from the jury? Let's get the basket around.